You might be looking for the Antichrist in all the wrong places. Yeah, I know, that sounds like a bold claim. But today, I'm going to reveal something that's been hidden in plain sight for centuries. I'll show you an ancient clay tablet and a hidden number embedded in multiple biblical prophecies that point to the exact day when a world leader would rise to power. I'll also reveal who that leader was, how he's connected to the Antichrist and modern Babylon, and why almost everyone has been searching for the Antichrist in the wrong place. The book of Revelation describes two key figures who will dominate the world in the end times. The first is called the Beast. He'll wage war and take control over the entire earth. The second is the false prophet, who will perform miraculous signs and persuade everyone to worship the beast and accept his mark. But here's the question that's been debated for centuries. Which of these two men is the Antichrist? The answer is more complicated than most people realize. The Bible, specifically the Apostle John, says that many antichrists have already come. And the word Antichrist itself is layered with meaning. The prefix anti doesn't just mean against, it also means in place of. And Christ refers to the Anointed One, which in biblical terms can mean Jesus Christ, or any other anointed figure like a king or priest. So when we talk about the Antichrist, we're not just talking about someone opposing Christ. We're talking about someone who tries to take his place, acting as a false savior. Let that sink in for a second. This figure won't show up waving a flag that says, "I'm your enemy." He'll come offering peace, solutions, and salvation. He'll look like the hero. And that's exactly why so many people will fall for the deception. They'll be looking for an obvious villain and completely miss the false savior standing right in front of them. In Revelation, these two end times figures, the beast and the false prophet, are tightly connected. The beast is the political powerhouse, the one who gains world domination. The false prophet is the religious leader, performing miracles and persuading the masses to worship the beast. So which one is the Antichrist? The truth is, both of them are antichrists, because both work against Christ and lead people away from the truth. But here's the critical distinction. The false prophet points people toward the beast, convincing the world that the beast is the true savior. That makes the beast the central figure, the substitute Christ, the counterfeit Messiah that the world will worship. Think about historical examples like Adolf Hitler. He wasn't just a political leader. He saw himself as Germany's savior. He offered hope to a broken nation, and millions followed him down a dark path. The Antichrist will follow a similar playbook, rising in a time of global crisis, offering unity and solutions, while leading the world into destruction. And the false prophet? He's the one who sets the stage, using spiritual influence to legitimize the Antichrist's power. But here's the question that brings it all together. Where will the Antichrist come from? Most people instinctively point to the Middle East, maybe Israel, maybe some Arab nation. But what if I told you the Bible points somewhere else entirely? What if the Antichrist's empire has already begun to rise not in the East, but in Europe? The key lies in the ancient empire of Babylon. In Jeremiah chapter 50, the future global ruler of the end times is referred to as Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. But here's the thing. Nebuchadnezzar ruled 2,600 years ago. His empire collapsed, and the city of Babylon was eventually abandoned. So why does the Bible use his name to describe a leader who hasn't even appeared yet? Because Nebuchadnezzar is a symbol, a prototype of the leader who will arise in the last days. Babylon isn't just an ancient city. In Revelation, Babylon the Great is described as a global system of political, economic, and religious power that dominates the world just before Jesus returns. And the Antichrist? The beast will be the leader of this modern Babylon. So where will this modern Babylon be? It's not about the physical ruins in Iraq. It's about a global empire that follows in the footsteps of ancient Babylon, Rome, and Greece. This Babylon of the end times will be a revived European empire, one that is already taking shape while the world is distracted. To understand when this modern Babylon would rise, we need to look at Daniel chapter 4. In that chapter, Nebuchadnezzar dreams of a towering tree that provides shelter and food for the world's creatures. But the tree is cut down, and bands of iron and bronze are wrapped around the stump for 7 times. Daniel explains that the tree represents Nebuchadnezzar himself, who would lose his mind and live like an animal for 7 times before regaining his throne. At first glance, this prophecy seems to be about Nebuchadnezzar alone, but in biblical prophecy, many events have dual fulfillments, one smaller, historical, and one larger, prophetic. In this case, Nebuchadnezzar's personal story is a foreshadowing of the kingdom of Babylon itself. The tree represents both the king and the empire. In the first fulfillment, Babylon lost its ruler for 7 times. In the second, Babylon, the future global system, would also remain without a ruler for 7 times before rising again. But how long is 7 times? Comparing Revelation 12:14 and Revelation 11:3, we see that 3.5 times equals 1,260 days. Doubling that gives 7 times, or 2,120 days. But in biblical prophecy, a day often represents a year. That means Babylon would remain leaderless for 2,520 years before re-emerging as a global power. So, when did Babylon fall? According to the Chronicle of Nabonidus, an ancient Babylonian clay tablet, Babylon was conquered by the Medes and Persians on the 14th day of Tishrei, 539 BC. If we add 2,520 years, we land on the 14th day of Tishrei, 1982, which corresponds to October 1st, 1982, in the modern calendar. And what happened on October 1st, 1982? Helmut Kohl was unexpectedly chosen as Chancellor of West Germany, not by election, but by a parliamentary vote of no confidence. This was the only time in German history a leader rose to power this way. And 8 years later, on October 3rd, 1990, again the 14th of Tishrei, East and West Germany reunified under his leadership. But that wasn't all. Helmut Kohl wasn't just Germany's leader. He became the architect of the European Union, helping to unify Eastern and Western Europe, introduce the euro, and lay the groundwork for a revived European empire. And this modern Babylon traces its roots back to Rome, Greece, and ancient Babylon. Even today, the symbol of a woman riding a beast, taken from Revelation, appears on some European coins, a nod to the spiritual significance behind this rising empire. Now let's be clear, Helmut Kohl wasn't the Antichrist. He retired in 2002 and passed away in 2017, but his sudden rise to power, on the exact date foretold in Daniel, points to where the Antichrist will come from Europe, the modern Babylon. Just as Hitler rose from Germany to dominate Europe, the Antichrist may rise from outside Germany, but will gain control over it, along with the rest of Europe and the world. But that's not all. The Bible warns that in the last days, many false prophets will arise. One of them, the false prophet, will perform miracles and use religion to deceive the masses, preparing the world to worship the Antichrist. The only way to avoid being deceived is to study the Bible for yourself, to know the truth firsthand, not secondhand. So here's the question. Will you recognize the Antichrist when he appears? Or will you be swept along with the crowd, blind to what's unfolding? I want to hear your thoughts. Do you believe modern Babylon is already rising? Drop your opinion in the comments, and let's talk about it, always with respect. If this content helped you, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next deep dive into biblical prophecies and end-time revelations. And there's another video on the screen right now that takes this even further. Click on it, and keep uncovering these mysteries with me. Thank you for watching, and may God bless you.